Oh, you didn't get that?
No, I got everything except for the last part it cut off of McKibben.
Oh. Can I? Well, I'll just say, yeah. So I was having a thought, and we experienced what the environmentalists want us to experience as a way of life, which is we went out of power. But I just had a thought that I think is worth sharing, which is, the last part of the unpleasantness, or at least the most recent thing I thought of, is, if you look around, I see this as something great, and what they're doing is spitting on this by spitting on, the people, the industries, the way of life that makes this possible. But as we talk to them, they don't even know that they're spitting. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're after. They don't know what civilization requires. So they're just spitting because McKibben told them to. They're spitting on demand. And it's because we live in a society where we've been told, as long as you place non-human over human, as long as you say we're screwing up the earth and we need to stop what we're doing, you're considered a moral ideal and it's considered safe to follow you. And that's why we're considered bizarre for saying, I love falsehood. It's like, why would you say that? How could you possibly say that? Are you against the earth? It's like by attaching themselves to the earth, they don't have to think, they only have to act. Except acting mindlessly there as in everywhere else is unbelievably destructive. So we haven't been able to get through to many minds. I'd say maybe we got through to 2 a little bit. Some younger people, they seemed a little bit open, but the idea is once people see the videos to at least see that this is a mindless thing and you should not participate in it. You shouldn't even participate in the debate until you get educated.
Another aspect that I found interesting.
Hang on, if you're going to talk, take the mic.
My mic? This is going to be a weird grip.
Another aspect of the demonstration I found interesting is that many of the people there don't feel any kind of necessity of having a scientific understanding of the things they're advocating. And when you challenge them on it, frequently they'll respond back to you that it's some kind of science is some kind of debating tactic, that knowing the scientific details of their movement and the reason that they want to abandon the only scalable, practical energy source for billions and billions of people is that they think that knowing those details about what are the possible alternatives, what is the efficacy of the current forms of energy used, they think it's kind of something that's involved in an argument, not something you need to know to actually advocate doing this thing, banning fossil fuels, banning our way of life. And I think that's a real problem in mass movements in general, and it's definitely an acute problem in the green movement, and it really tells you something about how science for them is really a veneer. It's not the essence of the movement. When you ask them what motivates them, it's not from a scientific understanding of what they're doing. It's really a moral, almost messianic feeling that they have. And that's why it's important to combat these ideas not merely on a technical level, but also on an ideological and moral level.
I mean, if you just talk right there. Is this it? I can't tell. Is that it? Is that good? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, what kept coming up is this idea that how could I be expected to know that fact if I would ask a question but these were questions on the order of, do you know what the concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere is? Now, little did this woman know that's in the name of the organization she supports, 350.org, which says that 350 is what you need, and now it's something like 396 on average, has gone above 400 sometimes. And she just doesn't, but that she said CO2 in the atmosphere had tripled, right? So it was 270 in the Industrial Revolution. So that's that would be 810 now versus 400. But her, this was just, oh, okay, fine, same conclusion. But those are just, I mean, this means that you don't have to think carefully about anything. And the same thing came up more obviously with temperature, where the guy he said, oh, it's way hotter. And I said, well, you know, it's half a degree in the last 80 years when you've had major fossil fuel emissions. Okay, and he had thought it was, 4 or 5 degrees, and no big deal. And this is just exactly what people who have dogmas, this is exactly how they function. Like the particular number that they use, the particular argument that they use is purely instrumental. They have a goal, or at least in this case, they don't even have a goal, but they have an implicit goal, they have an implicit direction of destroying a certain thing, of opposing a certain way of life. And anything that they can fit in will do that. And so if you ask them, well, aren't you concerned about what happens if you can't replace fossil fuels with solar and wind? Like, are you aware of, even a place like Germany, how much of the energy they get there, and what happens when the sun doesn't blow, the sun doesn't shine and the wind doesn't blow? They don't care. Because it's not something that they think about, and it's not something that they care about. They're not. And this is what's hard to relate. It's not like if you have a kid or a best friend, that's not how they feel about this issue. It is impossible to feel that for the climate. The climate is just an abstraction of, the global climate at least is an abstraction. It's not something you love or something you hate. It's just hatred. What it is hatred of industry. And so that's why it's all, anti-fracking. We hate fracking. We hate coal. You're an idiot for saying I love fossil fuels. So it's just, completely mindless, and the leaders of it, who are at least bright, Harvard-educated people like McKibben, they know exactly what they're doing. And that's why they organize these things to just be loud and obnoxious and mindless.